You knew. And you still came here like nothing happened. Please, Clara. Hey, let's take a breath, don't you tell me to breathe. Not after what she. Did she just slap her own mother? Gasps filled the ballroom. Cameras froze mid-flash. The bride's white glove trembled as her mother's gift hit the floor, a tiny box splitting open to reveal a forgotten past, in that glittering room of wealth and pride. One act of shame silenced everything. The guests didn't know her story. They didn't know the years of sacrifice behind that worn, humble face. But by the time the truth came out, it was already too late. This is the story of a daughter who lost everything in a single moment at the wedding. Comment your city below. The morning sun painted the city of Seattle in soft gold. Inside the grandest hotel ballroom, everything shimmered. Crystal chandeliers, silk drapes, white roses perfectly aligned. It was the kind of wedding people whispered about, the kind that made headlines. And at the center of it all stood Clara Jensen, the bride, elegant, confident, and finally marrying into the life she'd always dreamed of. Born to a single black mother who worked two jobs, Clara had clawed her way into this world of privilege. Her mother, Amara, was the quiet strength behind every one of her victories. The woman who pressed her school uniforms at midnight, who skipped meals so her daughter could eat, who told her, "Baby, the world won't see you for who you are, but you make them remember your name." And Clara did. She graduated top of her class, built a career in corporate law, and charmed her way into the heart of a wealthy white family that adored her, or so it seemed. But as the wedding day unfolded, beneath the flawless makeup and the smile that cameras loved, Clara's chest tightened with a quiet unease. Her mother arrived late. The taxi had dropped her 2 blocks away, and she'd walked in humble flats, clutching a simple gift wrapped in brown paper. Her dress wasn't designer. Her hands showed the years of labor, but her eyes sparkled with pride, the kind only a mother's love could hold. Clara saw her across the room, her heart tugging between love and embarrassment. Around them, guests whispered. Some smiled politely. Others didn't bother to hide their stares. The contrast was stark, the glowing bride in white and the mother in her old Sunday best. And as the music swelled, Clara forced a smile, hoping no one noticed the flicker of shame she buried deep inside. She didn't know it yet, but that single feeling would soon destroy everything she thought she'd gained. The ceremony began like a dream. White petals floated down the aisle. Violins whispered through the air, and every guest leaned forward as Clara walked toward her future. Cameras flashed, capturing perfection, the kind that lives forever online. But behind every photo, there was a heartbeat tightening with unease. Amara sat in the second to last. ROW in O1 had offered her a seat up front. Not the planner, not the groom's family, not even Clara. She didn't want to make a fuss. She never did. Her daughter was marrying a man from a powerful family, making it Clara's day. If sitting in the shadows meant her daughter could shine, then so be it. Still, the whispers reached her ears. Who's that woman? She doesn't look like family. Did you see her dress? Each comment cut a little deeper, but Amara kept smiling, clutching the small wrapped gift in her lap. A locket she'd saved for years, containing baby photos of Clara and her late father. When a couple said their vows, Clara's voice trembled, not from joy, but from the storm rising inside. Every glance toward her mother reminded her of where she came from. The small apartment, the thrift store shoes, the time she'd been mocked for her mother's accent at school. Those memories had once been her strength. But today, surrounded by wealth and power, they felt like cracks in the perfect image she'd worked so hard to build. After the ceremony, the reception hall glittered with champagne and laughter. Guests danced, posed, and boasted, but Amara stood quietly near the buffet, unsure where to fit in. When she tried to speak to Clara's new in-laws, their smiles were thin and brief, polite, but distant. One of them even asked if she was part of the catering staff. Clara overheard. Her heart skipped. Every instinct screamed to defend her mother, but her pride, the same pride that had driven her to succeed, held her tongue still. She laughed nervously and turned the conversation elsewhere. Then came the moment that would define everything. Amara approached her daughter with a small gift, her eyes glistening with love. "I want to give you this, sweetheart," she said softly. "It's something I've been saving just for today." But the crowd had gathered around. Clara's husband's mother glanced over, lips tightening in disapproval at the sight of the modestly wrapped box. Someone snickered, and Clara, cornered by fear, pride, and shame, felt her world tilt. "Mom, not now," she whispered, voice sharp with embarrassment. But Amara didn't hear the edge in her tone. She stepped closer, offering the gift with trembling hands. And then, in a moment Clara would replay for the rest of her life. The laughter, the eyes watching, the whispers. Pressing against her, she slapped her mother's hand away. Gasps echoed through the ballroom. The music stopped. The box hit the floor, breaking open. Inside, the small locket glimmered under the lights, and so did the tears that began to fall from Amara's eyes. Clara froze. For the first time, her mother looked at her not with love, but with something far heavier. Heartbreak, and that silence was louder than any applause. The ballroom hung in stunned silence, and no one moved. The air itself seemed to hold its breath. Clara's hand still hovered in the air, the echo of that slap trembling through her bones. Her chest rose and fell, eyes wide, lips parted, but no words came. Around her, faces turned away, whispers rippled like cracks in glass. Amara slowly knelt, her fingers brushing the shattered box, her tears falling silently on the marble floor. The locket lay open, revealing two faded photos. A baby Clara wrapped in a blanket and a man in a uniform smiling proudly. Her father. For the first time, Clara noticed something unusual, the tiny engraving inside. For our daughter's big day. Love, Dad. Her throat tightened. She wanted to reach out, to help, to take it all back, but her pride still chained her in place. Then a deep voice cut through the murmurs. The groom's father stepped forward, his expression cold. "I think we should keep the family drama private," he said, his words coated with condescension. Several guests nodded, pretending sympathy while enjoying the spectacle. Amara rose, straightened her back, and looked at her daughter. "I prayed for this day your whole life," she whispered, voice trembling, but steady. "But I never thought love would make you ashamed of me." Clara's heart cracked open. The applause that once celebrated her perfection now felt like knives in that moment. The wedding she thought would define her ended her instead. Dear audience, where are you watching from? Drop your city name in the comments. The guests dispersed quickly after that, murmuring excuses, avoiding eye contact. The glamour of the evening faded under the weight of what had just happened by midnight. The ballroom was empty, except for scattered petals, overturned glasses, and a mother's forgotten locket glinting faintly beneath a table. Clara sat alone at the edge of the dance floor. Her wedding gown wrinkled, her mascara streaked with tears. Her husband had gone upstairs, embarrassed and distant. The photographers had stopped filming. The fairy tale had ended long before the last song. She replayed the moment again and again. Her mother's face, the gasp, the silence. Every success, every sacrifice, every late-night phone call where Amara had said, "I'm proud of you, baby," now felt like a debt she could never repay. Days turned into weeks. Clara tried to call to apologize, but Amara never answered. When she finally went back to the small neighborhood she'd once called home in Richmond, the door opened slowly, her mother standing there, older, somehow quieter. She didn't scold or shout. She simply said, "You looked beautiful that day," and closed the door gently. Clara left the locket on the doorstep and walked away, knowing forgiveness might never come. That wedding had given her everything she thought she wanted: status, admiration, belonging, but it cost her the one thing she could never replace: her mother's heart. How many times must we trade love for pride before we realize one can't survive without the other? Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more powerful stories and new videos every day.